It is the 2nd of September 2025. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. Thank you very much for taking your time to be with us right here at Lookup TV. We are online at Lookup TV across all your social media platforms. Talk to us. Our WhatsApp lines are currently on your screen. In anything that you may want to talk to us about this morning, we shall be talking back to you as well. It's going to be a long show today. We're really going to look at a couple of issues that are trending across the country right now. But just as the norm is, I'm going to tell you exactly how we're starting today. For those who are wondering how the day is going to be, it's quite cold today in the morning, and that has been the norm over a couple of past few days. So if you're in Lavington and the larger Nairobi, today you're waking up to 14 degrees Celsius this morning. That's quite cold. It's as if we're still stuck in the July weather, isn't it? The one that we've been complaining about as Kenyans and Nairobians. It's still there, so we're still grappling with it. We're trying to dust it off. It's amazing that we're talking about this in September. Now, that's where we are, 14, but all the way up to 10 a.m. this morning. We're going to get all the way up to 19. 11 a.m. will be around 21, but around 1 p.m. we shall be talking about 24, and then that means that we shall be getting back to our normal temperatures. Good. So today the highs are going to be 26. That's our normal, all the way to September 6th, when we're going to see temperatures that are going to go all the way up to 28. So 6th looks like the day we're going to record the highest. Good. So not so bad. For those who are wondering whether the day is going to be like the way it is right now, that's a confirmation right there that things are actually going to get better as the day progresses, or as the week progresses. Good. A lot of things that we're going to talk about. I know football season in terms of transfers is done, and my God, what has Liverpool done? Oof, they got Isak for 150. For those who speak football terms, you do know what I mean by 150. You know, look at the amount of money that has been spent by that football club. It's a lot of money, you know. But we'll talk about that, see whether Kenyans are talking about it this morning. But for me, right now, let me jump online and see exactly what is trending in terms of your dailies. And majority of these stories that are going to be appearing on our dailies this morning are also covered on our platforms, that is at Lookup TV, across all of them. Good. Here's the thing. The big story here is how Raila is fighting to rescue Sakaja. What is going on at the Nairobi County government? It's a big story here that we really got to talk about this morning. And here it is. It's a game of numbers. That's what the story is about. The total number of Nairobi MCAs following death of Kariobangi North Joel Munuve in April. So it's 123. 41, the number required to make the 1/3 of the House to introduce the impeachment motion. 87 MCAs who have signed the draft motion to impeach the governor. 2/3, which is 82, majority needed to send Sakaja to trial by Senate. Look at that. They only need 82. And 87 MCAs currently have already signed the draft motion to impeach the governor. Look at that. So is Sakaja the latest governor who's gone to face the Senate after those dramatic scenes of the Kericho governor? It's going to be interesting, because indeed, if they decide, they already do have the numbers. And let's look at this. They're signaling the collaboration in the broad-based government. ODM leader Raila Odinga has gone into overdrive to scuttle a plot by Nairobi County Assembly members to impeach Governor Johnson Sakaja, who was elected on a United Democratic Alliance ticket. That story has been covered on page 4 of the Daily Nation this morning. Oof. Dramatic scenes right there at Nairobi County Government. I saw them speak yesterday, and they were saying, well, they've sat for a very long time. A lot has been happening in the county government, and they feel that now it's time to come out and speak boldly as a county government to the issues that are happening in that particular county. How's this gonna go for us? We shall be reporting and telling you exactly how this drama in the county goes on. Good. Let's talk about another story here that has been covered by the Daily Nation. It's a big story. Schools sent students home as state delays wiring of the third term funds as a lot. If you look at the total undisbursed funds from term 1, term 2 to term 3, it's a lot of money. So let's see, in term 1, 7 billion was not disbursed. In fact, to be exact, that's around 7,557,539,328. It was not disbursed. Term 2, that number kept on rising. 10 billion was not disbursed. If you look at that total then, before term 3, 18 billion was owed to the learning institutions across the country. Now let's talk about where we are in term 3. Term 3, they owe 14,593,529,718. If you put that into a total, then you're looking at 32 billion that is owed to learning institutions across the country, which has seen them, majority of the students sent home for lack of fee. Oof. Yes, I saw them yesterday. For those who are keen, you will see that majority of schools had decided to send kids back home just to get operation money. So I'm wondering, the capitation that's supposed to come from the government in an era of free primary education and secondary education, how do you send them home to get money from parents when the parents have been told that the money is supposed to be paid by the state? It's interesting things right there. Last term, schools closed early again due to financial constraints. That's according to KUPPET Deputy Secretary General Moses Nthurima. Also says if this continues, principals may have no choice but to shut down again because of the 32 billion that is owed to learning institutions across the country. In fact, that's almost 33 billion because the figure is a 32 billion 654 million 211,180. That's a huge sum right there. At a time when we're talking about education scandals again, worth 3.7 billion for those who've been following our coverage of this particular story. All right. Page 6, governors defy Ruto on public tender system. And by the way, the president was speaking really tough to the governors. In fact, he did say for any other leader who doesn't want to participate in the electronic tender system, you got to resign. And the governors actually spoke yesterday and told them, you're telling us nothing. The system is not working. And then they told them, this is a devolved leadership system. So if indeed you are speaking tough, we wonder who you're speaking tough to. That's what they said. They actually told them that. And they told them, it's not working, we are not going to use it. But the president over the other side is also saying, if you don't use it, then you better resign. So who's stronger in this particular case? Is it going to be the governors or is it going to be the president? Because the president is speaking tough. He wants it done and done now. It's interesting, really, how this particular one is also going to look. Now, on to sad stories. There's also a story that we've been covering. More houses have been torched in Mount Narok clashes. That story has been covered on page 10 as well. Quite unfortunate that we should be talking about that right now at this particular time of the year when the country as well is looking into the electioneering period. right? Lake Baringo, by the way, is also swallowing houses and schools, which is exposing students to crocodiles and hippos. Lake Naivasha as well is also swallowing houses, not schools yet. And it's interesting. You need to visit the Naivasha and the Lake Baringo regions. It's as if the lakes are claiming a lot of land mass. They say you can't cheat nature. Nature has a way of coming back and claiming what it's duly, truly theirs. Yeah, so unfortunate on that. Let's cross over to the Standard as we clear our review this morning. And this is what it is. And there's a story that has really been grabbing headlines across the country. This is the scandals in the health docket in the country. Now putting up a show. Now Duale, DCI, smile for cameras in graft war. That's what the Standard is saying this morning. Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale tried to wash his hands of the SHA scandal. That's what they're saying. Theatrically dumping flies on the DCI before the press, but refused to take questions because of the now tired and age-old excuse that answers might jeopardize investigations. Story has been covered on page 2 this morning. I mean, when you read the details of some of these scandals, they're scary. We are a country that is able to create fake hospitals and fake patients. Yeah? And the people really wanted, and I'm saying really wanted, because that's allegedly wanted to steal 10 billion, and we do not know how much money has been misappropriated and stolen in this scandal. Some of the stories that have put the health CS on the spot for how they've been handling this particular scandals that we've seen in the ministry. Leading in those scandals, by the way, is the education ministry, 3.7 billion. Now, the health docket said they stopped what could have been a 10 billion shillings heist in the ministry, but we do not know how much money they've made away with. 10 billion, that's a lot of money. Oof. Good. On page 4 and 5, it's a tough time being a parent or school's head. Now, when education is reduced to political pledges, parents to cash machines and learners to collateral, the dream of free schooling turns into an illusion and a burden for caregivers. That story has been covered on pages 4 and 5. We've already spoken about it this morning, so no need to elaborate on that now. But the big story here is on the big economy lie. Page 8 and 9, that when Treasury paints a rosy picture with its upbeat forecasts, the truth is that Kenyans are still staring at empty wallets, stalled dreams and shrinking dignity. Numbers don't lie, but they can mislead. Unless growth translates into jobs, incomes and real wealth, we are simply being sold GDP without a meal on the table. The CS ought to put people before statistics and reimagine the economy, not as an elite casino, but as values-driven projects of shared prosperity. Story on page 8 and 9. And this is a quote by one economist, Dennis Kabara, who's saying that our recent GDP numbers are mostly physical capital with a human capital and next to nothing productivity gain. In everyday language, we have spent the last decade building things, not people. Quite an interesting one. It's going to make a very proper read right there on the Standard this morning. And by the way, those stories have also been covered on our social media platforms at lookuptv.c at lookuptv. Good. Now, CS Duale is trending. Let me see a couple of issues that are around this area. We do know that it's because of the performance of SHA and the heavy corruption scandals that we've seen in that docket for 1 year that particular push from the government has been in operation. Now, there is a story here on how Gathoni wa Muchomba has launched petition to remove CS Duale. This is what they're saying. We're going to start collecting signatures to remove CS Duale. That's according to Gathoni wa Muchomba this morning. Good. There's a story here on how members of parliament now are accusing Duale of presiding over a collapsing health sector. We have signatures ready. When parliament resumes, a motion will be tabled. Duale must take political responsibility for theft of taxpayers' money at SHA. All right, that's according to Edwin Sifuna, senator. There's also a story here on how Senator Khalwale also is calling for the arresting of CS Khalwale. That's according to Dr. Abdi Mohammed and Mercy Mwangangi, over 24 billion shillings SHA scandal. That's according to Senator Khalwale. Good. But according to Duale, it's also saying this morning that there is an assurance that the Ministry of Health is ready to lead on an e-procurement. Is proof that the government is serious about reforms. Fantastic. All right, let me see exactly what Kenyans are also talking about this morning before we take a break. And then I tell you what it is that we're talking about this morning as our big conversation. Let me see. Good. There's also a story here now about Ruto also trending, about how he's spoken heavy to the governors who do not want to on board on the electronic procurement. This is according to former CS Interior Matiang'i, who's saying that President William Ruto has demonstrated fearless determination in confronting powerless cartels by dismantling monopolies that cripple growth. He has restored hope that Kenya's economy will work for the many, not just a privileged few. Good. Also, Duale is also saying that if you look at how the ministry is now using e-procurement, it is conforming to what the president is speaking about. Also, the president is also assuring Kenyans of a corruption-free country this morning. Let's see what John Methu, Member of Parliament Nyandarua, is also talking about. He's saying the administration has ended the entrenched culture of gatekeeping. Under President William Ruto, Kenya's economy is opening up, where fair competition is the rule. All right? That's according to the president's current move then to have e-procurement be the standard for doing business in government as it is right now. Good. Now, Liverpool is trending, and we do know why. I don't want to appease a lot of Liverpool fans, especially after them beating us last weekend. They've really done good business. Isak is finally gone to Liverpool. Let's see whether they win the title again, because they spent almost 500 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. We wish them the very best as they get ready for their title defense this season. For us who have not really spent that much, tunasema tunarudi kujaribu. Lakini unajua tuogopi Isak. Tumemzoea bwana. Mwezi tushitona Isak. Tumemuona akicheza against us. So sijui mbona tumuogope, you know? Good. On that note, then let me introduce what it is about talking about this morning on a bigger scope. In fact, we're going to talk about dogs and money this morning. I'll be telling you, for those dog lovers, well, you need to get your dog or your pet your pet dog this morning. I'll be giving you a couple of statistics. In Kenya, guard dogs are leading in terms of those dogs the majority of Kenyans are looking for. And by the way, this particular industry is big. I'll be telling you those numbers. It's a 5 billion shillings industry in Kenya. Do you know the most expensive dog can cost you upwards of 4.5 million shillings? Do you know that? And for those of you who have dogs, why is it that it's only 40% of veterinary services that are open to you? This morning, we tell you about dog and dog business in the country. We also tell you about what you need to know if you indeed want to start pet business in the country. We also open to you people in the economy who are doing it better. The best way, open to you ethics and best practices around this morning right here on Look Up TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kenya. We take that tiny breather. Once we come back, let's jump into that conversation. I'll be introducing you to a man I've spoken before in the studio, but I'll be calling him Dog Man once we come back right here on The Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. Start talking to us at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba once we come back.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
How easy is it for you to forgive someone who has hurt you? How easy is it? What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many colors.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. Men look familiar. Have we met before? No. We met a
Nobody is buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like.
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he's going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza alikuwa na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Fantastic. Let's then come back and sort of tease what we're going to talk about this morning as we wait for our guest to walk into the studio. I already told you what our big conversation is about this morning. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about this morning. It's going to be a learning process in our conversation this morning. We're going to talk about dogs and money, masters of dog breeding in the country. So I'm just going to give you a couple of stats here that represent where we are as a country when it comes to dog breeding in Kenya and where this industry is. This morning, we're in conversation with Joshua Wambua. I'll call him Dog Man. He's an exotic dog breeder. He's a man that I started speaking to last year on this particular venture that is currently in. Let me just give you a couple of issues that you really have to know in the country as regards dog breeding and this particular industry in the country. Now, here's the thing. What we know is that Kenya's pet industry is valued at over 5 billion shillings annually, with dogs making up the largest share. It's interesting. That's around 5 billion, and dogs are making the largest share. Let's talk about examples of some of those breeds, and it's a good thing that it's going to be here so they can talk to me much on this. That a purebred German Shepherd dog in Nairobi can cost you between 50,000 to 120,000 shillings, and this is when you go to the official certified breeders in the country. And I say official certified because you're also going to find that a bigger chunk of the people that you're going to meet in this particular industry might not be essentially certified for this particular business. Now, we do have a very strong club in the country that reports that there are it's called the Kenya Kennel Club, that reports that over 60 registered breeders are in the country, all right, and more so in Nairobi. But then they also indicate that many operate informally in the country. So some of those things that we're going to talk about here this morning with Joshua when he walks into the studio is how to identify a properly certified breeder in the country. Good. We're also going to talk about how veterinary services in Kenya reach only 40% of households with pets, and that's a big number right here. It's actually not a very good number, and I'm saying it's big because 40% is quite huge. That majority of people who have pets in this country are not open to veterinary services. We'll talk about what this means this morning and why it's important then for you to start taking care of your pets, what care they need. We'll be talking about that this morning on a bigger scope. There's also a story here that if you look at what majority of Kenyans really want, guard dogs, all right, like Rottweilers, account for 70% of demand in urban centers. Now, some of us grew knowing that a dog will not be essentially a pet. For example, that's how I grew. So we had big dogs. I can't tell the breed, but I knew that dogs were there to protect the compound, you know, to give you extra security. So in Kenya, that has not really changed that much, because if you look at where we are, 70% of the dogs that are in demand in the urban centers in the country are still for, you know, security, guard dogs. So not ornamental dogs, as I like to say. Yeah. But now that has changed, because I can see a lot of people who have taken into pet ownership, you know, have dogs as friends, you know, as ornaments. Funny enough, someone was telling me even yesterday we even have ornamental chicken. Yeah. So that has not really changed, because a big number of that, 70% being those who actually get guard dogs. That's not a small number. That's a big number. All right. Middle class pet ownership in Nairobi has grown by 35% in the last decade. That's really something that I want to talk to Joshua this morning so much about. I was told, and this I tend to know, that dog ownership for the middle class, you really need to know what breed of dog they're going for. That's why dog breeding really has to be those areas that we have to talk about heavily this morning. Don't own a dog because you just want to own a dog. I've seen a lot of people who own dogs in the urban centers, and they mistreating them because that dog that you're owning has been bred for a completely different purpose. You know, they're called balcony dogs nowadays. Some dogs thrive well in those environments. Others do not thrive well in those environments. So it's going to be interesting to know from Joshua this morning when he walks in, or Dogman, just if you want to start owning a dog, what are you going for? What shouldn't you be going for? It's going to be interesting to learn that on a deeper level this morning as well. Now, if you look at Kenya, if you look at the imports of the dogs, that is high value breeds from South Africa, Europe. Sorry, let me just rephrase that. Kenya imports high value breeds from South Africa, Europe, and the US for security and breeding. We'll be talking about that as well. We'll be knowing from Dogman where he gets his breeds from. It goes through the entire process, just making sure that we have pure breeds in the country as well. Now, rabies vaccination coverage in Kenyan dogs is still below 50% nationwide, and that's a figure that is not good. It's below 50%. When you're talking about veterinary services to pet owners in the country, still at 40%, that's below 50%. And then when you look at rabies vaccination being below 50%, that's a threat then. Yeah? And if you are a pet owner this morning or a dog owner this morning, then this is something that you should be really thinking about on a higher scale, because I do know it's a criminal offense in the country for you not to get your dog vaccinated against rabies. In fact, if you don't have that certificate, then you're just waiting to face law enforcement in the country. So it's really something that you have to think about. Below 50%, that's a big number you know. All right, let's continue with these stats as we wait for our guest to come into the studio this morning. Now, dog training fees would range from 15,000 to 60,000, depending on breed and purpose. And this is what I keep on stressing, that it depends on the dog that you want and the purpose of that particular breed that you have. When we're talking about breeding, we're saying that you have a pet or a dog that is actually bred for a specific purpose. You know, there are service dogs that are just bred for that purpose specifically. There are dogs that are just bred to herd cows. There are dogs that are bred for security. There are dogs that are bred for, I do not know. I've seen dogs that are bred to hunt rats. You know, that's their specific purpose. So I'll be learning, or we shall be learning this morning, that if you want to get a specific dog, especially if you are in Kenya and in Nairobi, what breeds should you be going for? And if you're in the countryside, what breed should you be going for? And should you get a trained dog, all right? And if you do not want to get a trained dog, how do you start learning the facets of training your specific breeds? Important questions that I do have here that I'm going to wait for our guest to answer this morning. Also, areas that we're going to talk about, if you look at, and by the way, I do also know that getting a trained dog is more expensive than getting an untrained dog, and some breeders will tell you that they can't sell to you a breed that is not trained. We'll be learning this morning which is better. Is it to get a trained dog or an untrained dog? And this one, remember, the training is very, very specific to the breed of the dog. And this is what accounts for the cost of the dog as well, or the pet that you're going for. Because if you're getting a fully trained dog, then you're going to pay that premium, isn't it? Because training would go up to 60,000. It will be important to also learn like the areas that you need your dog trained, but also how to take care of a trained dog as well, so that it doesn't lose that training. So it's an important aspect as well. I've also looked at a couple of trainers who, before you buy or you acquire a certain breed, they would also come in and train you specifically on how to take care of a specific breed. You know what they say? That animals have no problem, especially when we're talking about pets. It is the people who get them that would have a problem. If you have a particular breed which you're not living by how that breed is accustomed to or trained or bred, then if it misbehaves, if it doesn't make it to what it's supposed to be, then you are the problem. It's never going to be the problem. You know, if you're not vaccinating, if you're not feeding it properly, if you're not giving it the routine that is ingrained into the gene code for that breed, then you are the problem. I happen to consume a lot of dog material online, and I've seen, there's one YouTuber that I like watching, Caesar. He says that before I train a dog, I have to train you. It's interesting. We're going to see that this morning as well. Let's look at where we are. Now, the global pet market is projected to hit $500 billion by 2030, with Africa as an emerging growth frontier. It's actually indeed true. Because if a dog, it's going to cost upwards of 4 million shillings for you to get it. I've also seen cats that will cost upwards of 1.2 million to get a certain breed for cats. So the pet market is growing, and that normally would go for growing economies and emerging economies, where a lot of people now, especially in the middle class, would have these disposable incomes, and they would want to have a pet in the household as well. For me, that would make proper sense then for us to get into this morning and discuss this particular subject. I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm just waiting for our guest to step into the studio this morning. He said a couple of minutes ago that he was just walking into the studio. If he doesn't, walk into the studio in the next 2 minutes, then I'll be begging my director again. We take a tiny breather as we give him now time to set up in the studio so that we can start that conversation this morning. Just to remind you on a couple of interesting figures here, the pet ownership in the country has gone up by 35% in 10 years. So if you go back to 2015, majority of you didn't have pets. Now you do have these pets, all right? Interesting numbers that are not good, that in the country, vet services reach only 40% of pet homes, and rabies vaccination is under 50% nationwide in the country. And this particular industry that we're talking about here in the country is worth 5 billion yearly, and these numbers that I'm giving you are numbers for 2024. So as we speak this morning, it might be more than 5 billion in the country as we start our conversation this morning. Good. As a reminder again, we're going to have a conversation with a dog breeder in the morning here. His name is Dogman. He's just about to walk into the studio. We're going to show you a couple of those breeds that he's been able to bring up himself. You want to work with him, and also for any pet owner, he's going to be giving you the tips on how to become a better pet parent, as they call them in this particular industry. I can't speak more. All right? These are just the fruits of live television, that even before you go on air, you have to really come in with that material. So I'll beg my director again, we take a tiny breather, we get in touch with our guest, see exactly where he is. If he's available, then we can get to jump into this particular conversation. We take a tiny breather. Hopefully once we come back, Dogman will be right here with us.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
way for you to forgive someone who has hurt you?
How easy is it?
What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many colors.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. They look familiar. Have we met before? No. We met in
Nobody is buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
You know what they say, the beauty of live television. You can do all your plans. Yeah? You can organize properly, but then things might not work out the way you just want them to work out. I do apologize. Our guest has been caught up in traffic. We are at a very interesting spot in Nairobi where even 7 kilometers can take you 1 hour, 30 minutes. to conquer. And at the time when schools are open now, it gets even more complicated for us. Guess what? I beg that we have him another day. We're going to have this conversation just like we had planned earlier on. But for now, I'd like to take you back to a conversation that we've had before right here on The Morning Drift. It's a conversation on credits, small businesses, and just creating a proper ecosystem in the country for them. Let's watch this. It's a better one than actually just being off completely, isn't it? My name is Elijah Charles Kiage. I'll meet you on another day for another conversation as well. Good morning.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us through 0700 893 542 or send us an email to info